Hello and welcome to the Capital Games Movie Club. I am the Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
Zero. Uh, I believe. God, how do we do the picking at this point? I think it was my turn to pick, but I have you choose the. God, we gotta start this over. Anyway, so basically, I let you decide the next movie. And what I did was I had you go through the AFI 100 and say, hey, pick one. And you chose Michael Curtiz's 1942 classic, Casablanca. And this movie is a widely celebrated movie. It won the Oscar that year for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. It's instantly quotable. It is a bona fide Hollywood classic. But one of us hasn't seen it yet, and that is you. So I want to start with you and find out, what did you think of Casablanca?
I actually quite liked it. It was. I know some people may think that this is a bad thing. It was kind of old timey, but I kind of found it charming. At least, kind of putting my mindset of the setting of the movie and everything. Just so many good lines in the movie, and just the whole sort of being in the middle of good and evil being sort of the centric theme of the movie. I thought that was just kind of interesting. Just where you've got one character who's just kind of stark in the middle, going, I really don't like involving myself in politics because I just don't have any use for it, and then just sort of dancing in that fine line for the longest while. I was just like, yeah, just this is just really good. It doesn't feel hackneyed or anything. And then just as the movie progresses along, they're just things that just start to chip away at the main character, just and his whole, I'm just going to stick myself right in the middle, the sort of a stance, and then just you get to the end, and then there's just one thing that just sort of breaks his sort of dead neutrality, and from there it just kind of rockets you to the end. But
Right.
yeah, just for someone who has never seen Casablanca before, I absolutely loved it.
The character of Rick, now that you mentioned your feelings of it, the character of Rick is really a interesting character, nowadays especially, to identify with, especially since a lot of people probably feel the same way about politics in general nowadays as Rick did, which basically was, leave me out of it. I'm doing my own thing. Just, you guys fight amongst yourselves. Just please leave me out of it, please. And that is instantly identifiable in this movie in a way that, when the movie was made, was probably not as big of it. Well, no, that's not true, because this was made right during World War II. So but that feeling of isolationism and just feeling like, you guys all have your opinions, just do what you want to do, leave me out of it, is instantly identifiable. Even if the character himself doesn't present himself as like a morally upstanding person. In fact, in the beginning of the movie, he really does try to portray himself as, I just don't give a shit. Just leave me out of it, please. And it's at one point reprehensible, but it's also identifiable, which is really hard to do with a character, with the stakes that are in this movie. But because Humphrey Bogart plays the character so well, and because the screenplay is so damn good, that it is really easy to identify with him and to be charmed by him and to root for him as well when he goes through what he goes through.
Yeah, and as kind of stated at the start of my thoughts, just there's just so many good lines, just
Oh, yes.
so many, and we'll probably have to wait until we get into the spoiler territory, because some of the lines just are just so on the nose
Right.
at the right moment.
And they're so good that I think AFI did a list for the 100 movies, 100 quotes, I think it was called. And literally, Casablanca had 6 lines in that list, which I think was the most out of any movie at the time. So that's just an attest to how quotable and good the screenplay is to this. Because, and to the delivery of the actors, too. But to have a screenplay that had such good lines in it that usually when you have a good line in a movie, you get that one good line and it kind of goes downhill. But that doesn't happen in this movie because you get a good line and then you get good characterization. Then another good line, characterization, good line, characterization. And it just keeps going and gets better as it goes along. So I agree with you. The way the screenplay works when it comes to characterization and basically the lines that are done is really good. It's also very cynical. So anybody can really identify with cynicism to a point. So the lines have not only a good Hollywood feel to it, where like in the like a 40s Hollywood feel that Hollywood at the time was very known for, but it also has a very realistic quality to it that you can identify it and be like, yeah, I see what you mean, absolutely, and not feel like it doesn't feel cloying. It doesn't feel like it's talking down to you to a certain extent.
Yeah, and I think that's what made me have an appreciation for the film so much, because just it doesn't really just get hammy with the delivery of the lines. It just finds just the right and appropriate moments to deliver the lines, and just when the deliveries of the line just start firing off, they land and stick the landing.
Mm-hmm. And this is a movie that could have, under lesser writers, become hammy and become kind of one note and really become very cloying and very God, what's the word I'm looking for? Okay, I can't come up with it. But it under a lesser writer, it could have been very ham-fisted. It could have been very on the nose with how the character goes from his arc. And that's, I think, another beautiful thing about the movie, where the character, it's interesting. The character doesn't exactly change, but your perception of the character changes throughout the movie. And the arc is really you getting to know the character than the character changing itself. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I'd say that's bang on how I sort of felt as well.
Yeah, because Rick, the character of Rick, stays cynical, stays dark, stays brooding, is in many ways unlikable, but because the story, the story goes the way it goes, instead of being more detested by him, you end up liking him more because you just identify with certain things that he's going through. Even though he doesn't take things well, he is a flawed person. You still feel like you're rooting for the guy, which is really hard to do. Because in most movies, what would happen is he'd be the jerk, and then something would happen where it would generally change his demeanor, and then throughout the second half of the film, it would change him completely into a better person, and he would just be a good person at the end, which is not what happens in this movie at all. But you just seem to appreciate the character so much more by it being more realistic and given shades of gray than just being black and white. I think another character that we should talk about, I was surprised I didn't feel as hard as I did with these characters that I did the first time, but Ilsa and what was the character's name? Victor Laszlo.
Yeah.
They weren't as impressive as they were the last time I watched it, because I really when I first watched it years ago, I don't mean years ago, I was more impressed with Ingrid Bergman than I was with Humphrey Bogart. And in this one, I was like, she's good. She's good in the movie. But I just came out of this really, really enjoying Rick and Humphrey Bogart's performance in this. The other character I think I liked a lot was Captain Renault, the mustached Nazi in the movie.
Yeah.
He has some of the best lines in this movie. And
Yeah. Some of his lines are just real cold and cutting. You're just like, God,
oh yeah.
Jesus.
And another thing that this movie does is that it doesn't shy away from that the fact that these are in some ways despicable people that you're dealing with, that Rick is dealing with. Like, clearly people who only gives a damn about themselves and their bottom dollar, and that is it. And those never change in this movie. But like I said before, it's the perception of how Rick deals with these people is done so smartly and done really well, where you're still kind of rooting for Rick to get what he wants, and I guess this is spoilery, but I won't get too into it. You're looking for a comeuppance, and when it doesn't really happen, it's not that it's unsatisfying. You just know that, okay, but nothing bad happened, you know?
Yeah.
God, do we get into spoiler now, or is there more that you want to talk about?
I think a lot of the stuff that I'd end up wanting to talk about is going to be in spoiler territory, so we may as well just give the warning now.
Let's do it. Okay. So we're going to go into spoiler talk for Casablanca. I know it's a 1942 classic that maybe a lot of people have watched, but for the few that haven't, if you want to watch this movie, and you should, it's really, really good, and it's a classic for a reason, you may want to skip to the end, or, you can stop here, watch it, and come back. So we're going to get into spoiler talk in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I'm really curious as to what you want to talk about with this, because I can go all day with this. But no, but seriously, I walked into, I said this to you before we started. I've seen a few, there's been classic movies that I've watched recently that I just came away unimpressed with at the end, being, oh my God, this is still a classic? Ugh, I don't know. And I was so afraid that I was watching Casablanca and going, oh no, I don't like this either. But within 2 minutes, the dialogue hits, and I just went, oh, wait a minute, that's right. The dialogue slaps in this movie. I forgot. So, and I ended up loving it all over again. So, I'm really curious as to what you want to talk about.
Yeah, I think as sort of the gradual erosion of Rick's sort of self-centered neutrality, that where he's just like, the only interest I have are my own interests. I don't care about this whole good and evil thing that is going on with the Nazis right now. Just as long as as long as I have the Cafe American, then that's all I could give a damn about. And then just seeing through just his flashbacks of just his romance with Ilsa in Paris, and then just sort of the erosion of his neutrality through some of the events, like just Ilsa just sort of stepping back into his life all of a sudden, with her husband, Victor Laszlo again. Just all these things just sort of build this gradual erosion of his hard neutrality and everything, and just it's done in such a grand and subtle way that just when you get the total impact by the end of it, you just finally see just the culmination of just all of the little events that built up to just Rick finally just going, all right, just I'll sign. I'll get Victor Laszlo the papers because obviously um, this fight is much bigger than any of us combined. And then just the end line where of course, just Ilsa's thinking that all of them are just going to board on the plane and just it'll be just riding off into the sunset and everything, and just Rick just saying, "No, I'm not going. You got to go with him." And just the the just classic line of, "We both know you belong to Victor. You're part of his work, the thing that keeps him going. If that plane leaves the ground and you're not with him, you'll regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon and for the rest of your life." Just the impact of that line when it hits, you're just like, wow, holy cow. He went from just, yeah, I don't care, Nazis, Nazis, people escaping Nazis, big deal. I don't care as long as people are gambling in my Cafe American. I could give a damn. And then just by the end, just sacrificing everything, even the woman he loves, just to make sure that she and Victor get out safely, and that Victor can continue his work. Just the impact of it just hits so hard. Just seeing the erosion of his hard neutrality, it was just an amazing thing to see, especially just with so many modern day movies just sort of failing on just trying to show the gradual change of a character. Is just kind of just, at least with a lot of modern day movies, just boom, hey, this guy had a change of heart, and boom, this is how he is.
Yeah, yeah. I think the neutrality you're talking about, I don't think that was ever broken in the film. I don't think he looked at it as, these Nazis suck and I don't want to deal with them anymore and fuck those Nazis. I think it was more of, he is, in his essence, a selfish character. He is. And I think throughout the entire film, and up until the end, he stayed a selfish character. He always looked for the best way to get into and out of a situation. And to keep that character the way that is, but to make that kind of grand gesture, but still make it believable to a point where you're not erasing the character from the beginning, is really a testament to how great the character writing is to this movie. Because even in the end, when he's when he allows Laszlo to sing the French national anthem in his bar, which then gets his bar shut down, in that hilarious scene where Renault is like, "I'm shocked to find that there's gambling. Shocked, I tell you. Here's your winnings, sir." Look, thank you. I was like, Jesus Christ. But even small moments like that are written so damn well that,
Yeah.
But even when he's doing those small gestures, it still seems like he's just playing both sides. That he is being, what's the word? I guess duplicitous. No, duplicitous is a negative word. There's a different word for what he's being. I guess neutral. That he's still being neutral, but it's the fact that he actually loves this woman that really sets off that he is going to help them. He is going to help them, despite the fact that deep down, he kind of still hates her, and he hates him. He hates Laszlo as well, and he hates what happened to him, and he's still hurt. The only person that in that movie that he had, well, no, not the only people that he had any sort of relationship or any kind of loyalty to was the people who worked for him. Namely Sam. And the character of Sam is important to a certain extent in this. I know people will watch this thinking just Sam is just a character who sings, and sings really well, by the way. He's played by Dooley Wilson. He's just the singer and the entertainment that's in the background and everything. But what's important about Sam in this movie is that it would have been a lot easier for Rick to just leave him in Paris at that time when he was at the bar, when they were at the bar in Paris, and to just leave him behind and go to Morocco on his own. It would have been much easier to do that. But he decided still to remain loyal and to be friends and to help Sam. Almost, and they mentioned this ever so slightly in the movie when the one guy was trying to hire Sam for his bar and saying that I will double your pay. It's like, Rick gives me all the money I need and more that I know what to deal with. I have no intention of leaving. And that right there just shows, in a way, what kind of a good person that Rick really is. Because if Rick really was as duplicitous and as neutral based as he said he was, he would do anything, and I mean anything, to maintain that, including screwing over his workers. And he didn't do that. So, and then the other example with the child that ended up marrying a young man who was trying to get his papers at the roulette table. I mean, that's
the Romanian woman, and
yes.
Just how they were just like, hey, he needs the money to get these papers and all this, but can you help us make the connection with the local police chief, because we need his signature to even leave and everything. And
right.
Of course, just she mentions that to do that they need to have I think 20,000 francs to bribe him off
right.
to sign off on their papers and everything.
Or if they mention this slightly in the movie, but they said it in a way where it's not as obvious.
Yeah.
Or the woman, I forgot her name in the movie, but she basically asked Rick, is he an honest person? Will he honor it? Because if this doesn't work, she has to go by another means to get it.
Yep.
Do you know what that mean is?
Likely prostitution, I would imagine.
Yes. And it was confirmed in the movie when Rick got them that money and they cashed out, and the captain basically said, I think the line was, "Why are you dallying in my romances?"
Yep.
And it was just like, Jesus Christ. Like, they don't make it, like, nowadays, if they would have done that scene, it would have been much more obvious. And it would be a lot more darker. And it would be a lot more uncomfortable. But they managed to, in the flowery language that it's in, it is flowery, to make you understand the gravity of what's going on without overwhelming you to a certain extent, like, oh God, this is gonna be terrible. Why? Oh no, I don't want to watch this. But it works out, and you still get that these characters are not great people. Like, especially Renault, he's not a good person at all, and you get that from that point. And you kind of get that Rick is softening, or he's, he is. I guess yes, he is softening a bit, but they still remain like the same characters in the end. So, and like I said at the beginning, just to keep the characters the way they are, but your perception to be advancing more and more as you watch the movie, I think really is a testament to really how good the screenplay is.
Yeah, and Captain Renault, my God, just holy cow! Some of his lines just have some cold deliveries, like at the end where just Renault is trying to get the plane with Victor stopped and everything, and Rick just kind of holds him up at gunpoint and pretty much says, "Remember, this gun is pointed right at your heart." And then Renault just kind of coldly says back to him, "That is my least vulnerable spot." I was like,
"Yep,
God, Jesus, that guy is a Cold man. Jesus.
And a lesser actor, in a lesser directed movie, that would have been the line that would be the identifier of how cold he is. But it's not. It is just a throwaway passive line that is just it just comes off as a quip. It comes off as like a how to put this. It just comes off as a one-liner to a certain extent, but it works, and it works really well in that scene.
Yep.
What else? God, I mean, you mentioned the quotes in the movie. There are so many good quotes in this movie.
Yeah.
Here's Looking at You, Kid is probably one of the most well-known lines in this movie. Of all the gin joints in all the towns and all the world, she walks into mine. That's another one the one that gets. I'm trying to find the line. There's one line that is said often that is misquoted so much, and I'd hate to be the person that misquotes it too. So it's when Ilsa is talking to Sam and trying to get him to sing As Time Goes By. Oh my God, by the way, how amazing does it feel to listen to the actor who plays Sam sing As Time Goes By? Like, once he said, "You must remember this," I was like, oh my God. Oh, that is so good. Like, yeah. I just Dooley Wilson, I said it earlier. When Dooley Wilson sings, it's just like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, that's another thing that we have to address, is just the casting is so good. It's perfect. It's like, in a lot of ways, this movie is perfect. They do such a great job with directing, writing, acting, casting, set design. I mean, the shot selection is good. It's not great. It's not something I would say is a directing masterpiece or anything, where I would say, like, if you want to know what good direction is, you must watch Casablanca. Nah, not really. But as a screenplay, as writing, it is bar none one of the best. What else? I mean, I'm going by what you want to talk about, because I can go, like I said, I can go all day with this. Kiss me as if it were the last time. That's another one. Is it Play It Again? No, Play It Again, Sam is the misquote. I'm trying to find that fucking line, because I don't want to. I don't want to say the line wrong, because I'm just that type of asshole who will be like, everyone misquotes this damn line, and I'll misquote it, and I'll look like an asshole even more. So I just, okay, anyway. What else?
The meeting between both Victor and Rick about the letters of transit, where just for the majority of the movie, just Victor is sort of made out to be sort of this symbol, the symbol of just standing up against the Nazis and everything, and just being fearlessly fiery with his writing and criticism against the Nazis and everything, and hell, even just the fact that he was sent to a concentration camp and got out. Just throughout the movie, he's just built as almost kind of like this superhuman symbol of just resistance and everything. And then during this scene where just Victor and Rick are meeting at Rick's office, and he's pretty much just at this point begging Rick to just give him the papers, and just he's just trying to get the papers at any cost and everything, and just Victor sort of breaks down and he says, "I ask only one thing. You won't give me the letters of transit, all right, but I want my wife to be safe. I ask you as a favor to use the letters to take her away from Casablanca."
Yeah.
And then just Rick just kind of kind of softens up, and he's just like, "You love her that much?" And then he follows up with, "Apparently, you think of me only as a leader of a cause. I'm also a human being. Yes, I love her that much."
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, he's not as superhuman as it seems. That's just that's just kind of neat to see, because just throughout the movie they just kind of built Victor up as this superhuman symbol of resistance, and the fact
Yeah.
that just he had been reported dead almost 5 times, and yet he keeps coming back, just sort of builds the mystique of just him being sort of a superhuman symbol. And then
Right.
just in this one moment, it just kind of shows that while he may seem superhuman, he's got his human flaws as well too.
Right. After multiple viewings, Laszlo becomes not a big problem, but a small issue I have with Laszlo. For someone who went to 5 concentration camps, he still looks fucking fabulous. you know, like
Yeah, I
it's
mean that is a bit of a continuity issue.
yeah, okay, but if we look at it in the context as this is a 40s Hollywood movie, they're not going to go that deep with it. They're not going to make him gaunt, and they're not going to make him full of scars. So I like, on that note, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I can get with it. That's fine. But for someone who went to 5 concentration camps and exited out of all 5 of them, I kind of have a hard time believing that to a certain extent, but it's a minor quibble. For really the only person in this movie that has what you would call a moral center, or I would say has a decent moral center, he's not really well, he's not the prime focus of the movie, but he's not really as important as they make him out to be in the movie. This movie is clearly about Elsa and Rick, and Laszlo is kind of the hate to say it, he's kind of the third wheel. He's kind of the, I have to put up with this guy to get to Elsa, to a certain extent, and that's fine. It's fine, but it does, to me, it lessens the impact of who he is, because you're right. He is a character that, like I just said, he is the moral center of the movie. He is a paragon. He is a person that you would, if you could, you would want to help at any circumstance possible. You would want that. And in a lesser movie, that would be what the movie is about, is basically Rick coming to terms with the fact that he needs to help this person for the cause, and he would end up sacrificing himself for the cause to make sure that he got through. But this goes back to how good the writing is. They don't cop out at that point. They remain consistent of what the movie is about and who it's about, and they don't make drastic changes. Because if you have, like, I would say, if, and we're going to talk about this a little more as well, if Casablanca was made today, this movie would probably not be celebrated. It would probably be criticized a lot, because they would say, well, why do we care about this bar owner when we have this clearly great guy who is fighting a just cause and needs to be celebrated for doing so? That should be what the story's about. And that would be a clear problem with this movie, because if you made it just about Laszlo and you made him the main character, you have suddenly a whole different movie. And and then Rick and Renault and even Elsa wouldn't work. So, yeah, that's my opinion on it. I think I don't even want to say there's bad characters in this movie, that bad written characters or bad acted characters. There's not. It's just that when you really look at the film in itself, Laszlo is shockingly less important than you realize.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you. It just seemed like he was sort of a moral counterpoint.
Not even. He just Like, well, what do you mean by a moral? All right, let me have you expand on that. What do you mean by moral counterpoint?
So, you've got um, you've got uh, you've got the immoral folks on the other side. So,
Well, that's everybody, dude. That's everybody.
like Captain Renault, absolutely
Yes,
despicable dude.
yes.
So like he's on that part of the scale. Then you've got Rick, just sort of kind of right on dead center for the most part. Just mostly kind of self interested in himself. Um, and then just as the movie goes on, just sort of gradually softening up and going towards good. And then you have Victor, who's just boom, right on the good side of the spectrum. Just he's just made to be this exemplar human being, and then a lot of the characters are sort of in the gray fringes between in the middle and bad. So just like the rival cafe owner who ends up trying to basically buy up Sam and everything. He's not terrible, but just you can clearly see that his motivation is more financially oriented.
Yeah.
And then you've got the chief of police who is a little bit on the further end of the bad spectrum because, of course, just and he's got his whole prostitution thing going on. He's
Yeah.
pretty much morally bankrupt with kind of gambling on the rigged casino floor, rigged in his favor as an agreement that he's got going with Rick. Just you've just got all sorts of characters, but yeah, just um, that go across the moral spectrum. But yeah, just Victor, he just seems like he's the exemplar. He is the one that most people should look and aspire to because he's pushing for a just cause. He's trying to fight for a cause that's much bigger than himself, even at risk of his own death. Just that's what I mean as kind of Victor being sort of a moral counterpoint.
Okay. Okay. I get that. I do. I just it just in this movie, to me, and I might be wrong, morality plays less of it plays less in this movie than I think most realize, because it's not like Rick gains morals in the movie.
Oh no, definitely
He
not.
he is always selfish. What makes him want to save Elsa and her husband is basically he can't deal with the guilt of letting her die. Is what basically it comes down to. And he begrudgingly helps Laszlo and helps her, and like in the final scenes where they meet in her off in his office, Ilsa and him, excuse me, and she threatens with a gun for the papers. You learn that he still cares about her and still
Yep.
loves her, but you then also learn that he will do anything to protect her, and that if something were to happen to her, he'd be devastated. And it's important to notice that scene, because if that scene was not there and he went to get it and helped in any way in a twist, it wouldn't have the impact that it does now. Because, at least to me, it would not have that impact. Because it would just seem out of nowhere, and it was like, okay, I guess, sure. But in the end, Rick is still as two-sided as he always is. He just found a way to get what he wanted and to continue doing what he wants, because in the end, the person that he has the relationship with in the Nazi side is still alive, and he's going to recognize that, and he's going to help Rick. So it was a win-win in the end. So I would really, to me, Rick doesn't gain morals. He doesn't become a moral person. He doesn't become a much more good moral person. He just gets better at being two-sided and duplicitous. But he did it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? What else, Zero? God, we can go all day with this. Go ahead. What else do you got? Anything?
I thought the cinematography was definitely interesting, especially considering that it was a black and white film. That just for like the scenes where just the illicit casino that Rick runs when it's popping and everything is just kind of just bright and vibrant and everything. So it kind of gives you that essence that yeah, this casino is really happening. Just everyone is in there to try to get that hopeful big payout and everything. And then you've got some of the contrast on some of the other scenes, like when you go into Rick's office and everything. Just it's kind of dark and kind of moody and everything for lighting in there.
Shadows are very important in those scenes.
Yep.
Yes.
So yeah, just love the cinematography. It just gave so much impact to the scenes and everything.
The darker scenes are what gives it the most impact. For example, when he sees Elsa with Laszlo for the first time, and he's drinking at the table with Sam, waiting for her because she knows she's coming, and the light is going back and forth outside, and it shines out in the in the bar that's empty, where he says the immortal line of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine. And the way that hits, it really shows, I guess, the desperation and the feeling of despair he had just for seeing her again for the first time. And it hits really well. Like when the movie gets to its darker tones is when I guess the cinematography gets interesting and gets better. It's good cinematography wise, but to me, the writing just outshines everything in this movie. Like everything. This could very well be an acting clinic for actors as well. And I just think that the screenplay is just the tops in this. It is the best thing in this movie. It's final thoughts.
Casablanca will likely probably stay very near and dear to my heart, especially
Really?
as just a classic piece of cinema, just from just the writing, the cinematography, and just uh, a great cast of actors just playing all the characters and everything. So it's probably one that will probably stay very near and dear to my heart. But I'm very strange. Um, things that have historical significance end up typically being very near and dear to my heart because I'm kind of the same way with video games.
Yeah.
That if there's a game that had a significant historical impact and I've been able to actually touch on it and play it, then usually it's something that will always stay with me. And I have a feeling Casablanca will likely be that for me with regards to film.
It really affected you that much, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That's great. I mean, Casablanca is a classic for a reason, and we went through it in exhaustive detail in this, but I'll just reiterate. The screenplay is absolutely fantastic. It is by far one of the best written screenplays I've ever watched and ever seen in a movie. My favorite screenplay will always be Chinatown, but this is I really want to buy the screenplay of this to read it on my own, to really envelope myself into it. But it's a near perfect movie. Like in order to get something this good, you need skill, artistic vision, and a lot of luck. And they got lucky with the great the great cast that they got, the excellent screenplay, the good direction of Michael Curtiz. We didn't talk too much about it, but it's good. And just this really robust story and characterization that they had that really makes the movie timeless. I love this movie, and I'm so glad I love this movie after watching it again. I was so afraid I was going to hate this, but like I said, within 2 minutes, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. This movie's fantastic. What am I worried about?" So yeah, great movie. If you have not seen it, and you're one of those people who are like, "I can't watch black and white movies," oh my god, get over it and watch it. You're in for a treat. It's so good. Okay, Zero.
Yes.
We are at the end, but at the end of each episode, we always ask a question. So I've got a question for you.
Oh,
yes. Okay, let's do this.
Have you make your pick and everything?
Yes. Okay. So
All right. So since Wiz last week gave me an opportunity to pick from a giant list of movies and everything, I am somewhat returning the favor in a different manner.
yeah,
My motivation for these picks is right now, currently, the state of the world, both in news events and politics, is just really depressing right now. So I wanted to pick something that had a little bit of levity, a little bit of humor to it. So the genre is going to be comedy.
Okay.
And instead of having a wide gamut of things to pick from, I figured I'd just kind of narrow it down to 4 titles that I do own, and two of them are in the realm of action comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So the choices are Sam Raimi's Army of Darkness from 1992.
Okay.
Next one is Office Space from 1999.
It's Mike Judge. Okay.
Yep. Then a third choice is Idiocracy from 2006.
That's
also
Mike Judge as
from
well.
Mike Judge. Yep.
Yes, you're right.
And then the last one is Black Dynamite from 2009.
Okay. Now, I'm going to say no to Army of Darkness just because I haven't seen any of the Evil Dead movies. So I know you said it's not really necessary, but I think in order to enjoy it the most, you kind of have to have that. So we're going to skip that. I've seen Idiocracy and I've seen Office Space. Not a fan of either. So I know that's going to be like, how can you not be a fan of these movies? I'm just not. We'll get over that. So, but the moment you told me about Black Dynamite and I watched a small snippet of the trailer, I was like, oh, we got to see this because and not just because it looks crazy, but it's just like, and I guess we'll get into it very lightly. The first thing I thought was, oh, this is from the 70s. No, it's from the 2009. Holy crap, this looks amazing. So yeah, I'm excited to watch this. I think the last Blaxplotation comedy that I watched was Undercover Brother. Is that a Blaxplotation movie? Does that count?
I think it's kind of a modern contemporary take.
Maybe not, because I wouldn't call that Blaxploitation. It's funny though, but I wouldn't call that Blaxploitation. Maybe it is. I don't know. Disregard that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the Wikipedia entries on it considers it a satirical spy action comedy blaxploitation film.
Yeah, but do you really want to count Wikipedia?
Yeah, I mean,
okay. We'll accept it then. It is blaxploitation. Yeah. Okay, fine. We'll do it. I actually really liked Undercover Brother when I saw it in the theaters, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I would say at this point, Black Dynamite. I will definitely watch that. They made an Undercover Brother 2?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, this looks awful. Ew. Ew. Oh, let's stop this before I look at this more. No. Okay. So, next week, we are going to be watching Black Dynamite?
Yep.
Black Dynamite. 2009's Black Dynamite. So if you want to join in on the fun, just go ahead and watch it within the week, and you can join us for watching the movie. Let's find out where you can stream this Black Dynamite. You can watch it right now on HBO Max. I gotta tell you.
Interesting.
I gotta tell you, man, HBO Max is probably my favorite streaming right now for movies. They have so much good stuff. So it's good that it's on. It's good that it's on there, because then So yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch. Yep, Black Dynamite's on here. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
So yeah. On that note, so tune in next week where we'll talk about Black Dynamite. Yeah, that's tune in next week, and we will talk about the movie Black Dynamite from 2009, starring Michael Jai White, Byron Mins, and Tommy Davidson. Oh my God, Tommy Davidson's in this. All right, I'm in. I'm in, dude. Okay, and with that, I am the Wiz,
And I'm Zero.
We'll talk to you next time.